There's a fantastic cartoon that everyone should watch. It's called Consent is Like Tea. At the end, I'd be like, yeah, if you could understand how ridiculous it is to force tea upon somebody, you can understand how ridiculous it is to force sex upon someone. Like, it's just like a no-brainer.
What is on the menu?
On the Menu is a series of candid conversations with people throughout our community, whether they're entrepreneurs, business people, brand leaders, bartenders. We've been lucky to connect with a lot of people since we started the company.
I mean, we're three guys. We come from three different parts of the country. What we all have in common is that we appreciate sharing. This is our opportunity to allow others to share their knowledge and expertise to our larger community.
My name is Lynnette Marrero. I co-founded Speed Rack with Ivy Mix.
We're in my bar. This is Leyenda.
What is the wildest thing that's ever happened at a speed rack competition?
Here
we go! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1!
we did the Manhattan Cocktail Classic was going on. We were all basically in the kitchen at Astor Center batching all the cocktails for all of the people giving seminars who happened to be all men and we were all women downstairs making cocktails. I was asked to do a video and I was told like, oh, can you do this video type of thing? It'd be great if you could do it. And I was like, oh, we need to do a video? And like, I was so excited, like this is great. Yeah, of course I will. Like, oh thank God, because we just don't know any women. And I was like, but there's a whole basement full of women, like right, like 60, right there. And like some of them are much better known than I am. I was at this bar and Lynnette walks in with her husband Ty and I was like, Lynnette, chit chat chat, like good to see ya. Also, I have this idea for this thing called Speed Rack, and that's all I had. I was like, I wanted to do something for breast cancer. I want it to be just for women. What do you think? When we first started, cooking shows, competitions, like everything was just kind of starting. I like to call this the booze version of March Madness. And we got bracketed style round robin cocktail making. We're gonna have one girl in the pink bar, one girl in the black bar, and the girls will go head to head in competition. Speed Rack was like a whole new vibe. It was just, it wasn't about, how good is your cocktail recipe? How creative is it? And like, I'm gonna sit here and listen to you talk about that one cocktail for 10 minutes. It's literally supposed to show people that, hey, I'm good at my job, you should hire me. You know what I'm saying? And it's fun to watch. And that was also kind of like an accident. Like I forget that people go to bars and they just like zone out watching people make drinks, like whoa, you know? And it's on stage and it lasts 2.5 minutes. People are like, ah, you know, it's like crazy, people love it. And the first one had like 60 people maybe.
More. It was like all in New York showed up. And
yeah, I mean it was a lot.
We packed the Astor Center and it was crazy though.
We had music and it was like crazy. Everyone's drinking punches around the room, like how Speed Rack works. And she was like, I think we're like on to something. And I was like, yeah.
So how did the altruistic kind of component, how was that like thought about and brought to life?
The events that we had been doing, so when I started the New York chapter of LUPEC, I had met the Boston chapter. They were doing events locally. And I saw what they were doing, which was doing cocktail events that could raise a ton of money and for women's-based issues. That idea of, okay, well, bringing these women around that I had been meeting around New York who didn't have, they were working in these bars, no one knew who they were. I'm like, well, this is silly. Let's do these events. Like, let's take over Death and Company. At that time, they had never had a woman bartender. So we flipped the script and brought all women behind the bar. At
the time, did you feel like there were a lot of other organizations doing similar things in the space, or did you feel it was unique?
Pig and Punch kind of started at the same time as Speed Rack, and some people just being like, hey, we're going to work with brands that we like and appreciate who support us, like Hella Bitters. We're going to utilize our relationships with them to put on the actual events and then sell tickets. But all that money from the tickets is just going to go to the charities because the brands are helping us actually execute these events, right? It's certainly not reinventing the wheel by any stretch of the imagination, but it certainly is a way that without our sponsors, we're almost at $900,000 raised in 8 years. So
awesome.
Yeah, so we're
trying
to hit $1 million this year.
I feel like we should drink to that. Let's just drink. Cheers to that. Cheers to $1 million.
Wow.
Not to $1 million, right? It's really much more about this community that Speed Rack is, and we really started seeing it 2 years ago, and last year even more so. And I think that that's kind of the new ethos.
Theoretically, all these bartenders are post-competition. They're different. You're creating kind of indoctrinating people, empowering people, and then they should be going back to wherever bar they work at and helping bring that culture there if it isn't already, right?
Yeah, I think a great example would be Chicago. I think since SpeedRec started, you've seen a domination of the hospitality by the young women of that community. They started early. We have former, SpeedRec alumnus running trainings. The group causing a stir, and a woman who entered last year for the first time, a woman named Natalie Smythe, called and said, what can I do to train more women from the South Side and other areas to come and do SpeedRec, because I think it's so important, because it made me rethink everything I was doing, and I was better at my job. That's what this industry is about, is connections and camaraderie and finding ways to together make every space more open and friendly and safer, and if you have people who are going on that journey with you, that is always more valuable.
Our industry is not one that's like down with women, it's like, but there was a certain, like, things aren't going to change unless you make space.
Yes.
So you guys are clearly making space, and you guys are leaders in your own right and creating that space. Are there tools that you kind of implore to SpeedRec winners or competitors that help them figure out the tools to leading in their own way?
I think
the Chicago.
I think that's what's amazing is that, as we've seen it transition, is that the women ask for what they need, and they are very good at communicating with each other and even with us, and asking for advice or mentorship. So we started to see that, which is great. And I think that's been a big part of why, when you look at SpeedRec having sustained so many years, is because of that. What's great is that people coming to see the event in certain markets, we've had several women hired from SpeedRec. Alex Day just posted the other day, he judged in Denver, and they were just about to open SpeedRec Denver, and Alex Jump, who had competed with us when she lived back in Tennessee, had just moved and was working out in Denver, and Alex saw her, judged her, and post-competition reached out and said, I want you to be my head bartender when we open.
Congratulations on all that you guys have been able to accomplish. What's going to be unique about season 8?
Oh, season 8. I think there's all this energy coming in of people who want it in these smaller cities. So we're trying to figure out ways to really activate those other cities that we can't visit, so that way they have their own groups of mentorship and excitement within their community that are then going off to the competition.
Is there a way for people who don't know to reach out?
Volunteer. That's always a great way to do it. And I've had a lot of women come up and be like, I'm really terrified to enter. I'm like, volunteer.
We're hearing words like empowerment, awareness, communication.
Right.
From an industry standpoint, is there some kind of, do you have a recommendation on some kind of like streamlined solution that can be implemented across the industry?
We're kind of talking like about internal industry stuff. Like,
What
about all the patrons? Like on Halloween, the other week, I was working. It was so insane in here, and like not with our normal clientele. It was nuts. And then this guy was in twice. He would come up to me and like, hey, I just want to and would grab me, and I was just like. Then I saw him do it to 2 of my cocktail waitresses too, and I was just like, like, what do you do when it's your patron? Like, this goes back to the conversation. Like, this is how we make money. This is your tips. Da-da-da-da-da. Long story short, I regret my actions. I could have just been like, please don't touch me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it would have just been like, we're busy. Don't touch me. I'm gonna move on now. And that probably would just like, I wouldn't have to be like, let's sit down and have a conversation about sexual harassment.
100%. 100%. 100%.
But I do really think that like people putting. Like, instead of like the stupid rules you see in these cocktail bar bathrooms, like, gentlemen, no bothering the ladies. Please take off your hats. No smoking inside or whatever. You could have like, hey, in our code of conduct, don't touch, don't talk, don't do anything unless you're told that that's an okay thing. Like, don't force tea on somebody. It's just so obvious.
Love the tea analogy.
Yeah.
In entrepreneurship, people apply perhaps a magic to it, right? You don't really see the gritty side of it because there's so much sacrifice. A question for you guys to think about is, are opportunities something that you take or you make for yourselves?
I think that's the thing. Like, entrepreneurs are just more of makers than takers. There's a certain thing like, okay, I have to get this done. I have to make this happen. I have to make these opportunities because they're not going to make themselves. You know, it's kind of like going back to making space or making whatever. Like, you got to make it, and then you can reap the benefits. You know.
Yeah, it's that combination. Half of it is luck, where you were and how that happened, and the opportunities presented. And yes, these are things you can do to start getting in front of those opportunities. But I think we just need to start shifting and thinking a bit bigger and broader on, you know, even making this industry at entry level more accessible.